Oh, I'm Bill Anton. Today we're going to talk about taking a long-term perspective and just what does that mean? Well, I think to start, it's useful to begin at the beginning. Like, why is it and how is it that we've developed short-term perspectives in our life? Well, what really happens is in early development, we establish beliefs about ourselves and the world, and those beliefs gradually develop into mental models, which are fairly enduring and rigid kinds of frameworks through which we approach the world. We then develop habits and relationships to keep those mental models from changing. So, what that does is that keeps us sort of stuck in a loop where we behave in certain ways and then we develop habits to validate our behavior and our thinking. And so we get sort of like in an everyday, kind of like a repetition of childhood in terms of structure and function. But in fact, the content of our life is changing, but we're really not changing the way that things occur in our brain, the way that we interact with others. That is the structure of the way. And there's a lot of noise that gets introduced to the system. And our brains kind of strengthens around these routines. And we're always looking for ways to reduce fear, to validate our beliefs, to feel that we can control and make sense of the world. And then one day we have an experience that's different and outside of all of the expectations and all of the artificial sense and magical control that we live with. We experience something sort of different. Like, for example, we go to the beach and the wind entrances us, or we look at the sky full of stars and it kind of elevates us to a different level. There are also things that can put us in that state almost predictably by practice, such as meditation, relaxation, developing habits of behaving differently. But in general, every day is like the same day, except this one day. This one day, everything seems different. It's like we have a glimpse of a future that we're not living and a belief that disconfirms our belief that we could never live in any kind of world or any kind of relationship to time that doesn't already exist. So, because of that, we begin to feel differently. We have sort of a crack in the ice, and our brain knows that something different is possible, even if we haven't experienced it. And then, because of that, we become curious about ourselves in different ways. We begin to be bystanders to our own short term perspective. And we begin to realize that what we're facing at the moment and our habitual solutions for addressing it are not the only way to do that. That, for example, if we asked ourselves the question when facing a stressor or something that has all kinds of thoughts whirling and insecurities whirling in our mind, if we ask ourselves the question, how important will this be in 5 years? Would that change our perspective? And if we can learn to live in that longer term perspective, then finally, as we develop a sort of a new relationship with ourselves, a new level of knowledge about ourselves, we notice that the all the meaningless chatter in our brain that really adds no value to our life, it's kind of like noise, and it really eliminates or obfuscates the signal, which are the important things in our life. It begins to disappear. And we also notice that the quality of our thinking improves and that the real control gradually replaces the magical control. And we begin to actually enlarge our capacity to create in life what we want. And of course, the icing on the cake is all of this disconfirmation and change and realization that we're not stuck begins to change the brain. And one of the ways it begins to change the brain is by creating more fluid access to the frontal lobes. And the value added or the bonus at the end of the package is that our frontal lobe, which is loaded with endorphin receptors, results in us feeling more confident, more secure, more grounded. And the quality of our life becomes much, much better. And the effectiveness of our thinking and our ability to engage with the long term, to see the big picture of life every day and embedded in every experience gives us a ballast that makes us influential, powerful, and meaningful in our relationships with others. So thank you for listening. And as always, I'm always interested in your perspective, your comments, or any ideas that you might have or love to contribute, because we would like to hear them. Thank you very much.